I was almost grateful for those 10 years that it took, because it felt so much more rewarding, of like, wow, I've really stuck with this a long time, and here I am, and I can do it. Someone said to me this quote, which I'm gonna butcher it right now, but it was like, you're not ready to get to the top of Mount Everest overnight.
All right, this is the Story Series podcast where we tell the stories behind the people. Kate Amundsen, welcome.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
It's great to have you. I'm thrilled to meet you.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, I like to just read a brief introduction.
Yeah.
So you're a film and TV actress, and most recently starred in a very funny film, Mother Nature and the Doomsday Prepper.
Yes.
And as we were talking before this, but your co-star Andrew Key was here a few weeks ago, and so I'm just psyched that you're here and to learn more about you.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. So I want to connect the dots a little bit.
Yeah.
I like to go back and start with origin stories. And so if you could, where did you grow up?
Yeah, so I was born in Los Angeles, California. But by the time I was 2 or 3, we made the move to Utah. And then I was there till I was 8. And then we made another move to New Mexico. And I would say around that time, that's kind of when it all came together of me wanting to be a creative. I grew up, my parents were always, they knew that the arts were important. So I was very lucky to have them as parents because they were always supportive. And I would say around that time, that's when I started getting the itch, the calling to come back to California. I did actually get an agent in New Mexico. My first agent did my first headshots out there, got my first job. I did a commercial for a local political campaign. I got paid $40. It was great.
Paycheck's a paycheck.
Hey, it's not nothing. And by the time I was 13, my mom had an opportunity to take a sabbatical from her job. So we made the move out there. My dad's also an independent filmmaker, so we took this huge risk going back out there, and I just feel so grateful to them for believing in my dreams, getting me out there. And then, when I was 15, I signed with an agent in LA for modeling, signed with their commercial board, and then things kind of took off from there.
It's funny, people always remark on people born in Los Angeles that work in entertainment. Yeah, I'm born not too far from where we're sitting now. And so, but it's funny to hear someone who's born here leaves and then decides to come back.
Yes.
But that, that gives you different perspective. It's nice to have had that.
And I'm very grateful for those experiences being in Utah and New Mexico, growing up around nature. That was a really big, important thing for me. So I'm very grateful for those experiences.
New Mexico, rather. My grandma lived there in the latter part of her life. And so we grew up Ruidoso, New Mexico, little ski village up a mountain.
Okay.
And so my childhood Christmases for the first probably 18 or 19 years, every Christmas we'd go to New Mexico. So
Christmases are the best out there. Those are literally my favorite memories.
Being
out there for Christmas, and I really miss it.
Yeah. So anytime someone says New Mexico, I'm like, oh, that's like a special little.
Yes, exactly.
But growing up and throughout that, all through your relocating, were you always creatively inclined? Did you ever? You always had that performer's bug?
Absolutely. Yeah. I was such a crazy kid. I was such a wild person. And I don't know how my parents or my sister, for that matter, put up with me. But because my dad had one of those 90s camcorders, I was always filming myself doing something, a skit. I was putting on one-woman shows for my parents in our basement at my house in New Mexico. And, I've thought about it recently because during that time in New Mexico, it's really spread out. So you're really far from any friends. So I spent a lot of alone time. And looking back, my dad just digitized all of that footage from that camcorder. So I watched it back recently, and I spent so much time just doing anything and everything creatively, whether it was a skit, a play, or a music video, or singing, or dancing, or whatever. That's all I did, and to entertain myself. And I think that time spent alone was actually really important for creating that. Also, me and my friend, this is really weird, but one of my best friends at the time, we were 8 or 9, but when the lights would go off, we'd spend the night or whatever, and we'd get out the flashlight and we would read Shakespeare for fun.
For fun.
Just for fun, as kids do. So, I think I was definitely always creatively inclined.
Yeah. And were you aware, you mentioned your dad was an independent filmmaker. Were you aware of what he did at an early age? Was that kind of mixed in with the family, like just this creative
Absolutely,
bunch?
yes. Because my dad's a very nostalgic man. He loves all the old films. Ingmar Bergman, he introduced me to Charlie Chaplin, Tim Burton, Terrence Malick. And actually, one of my favorite memories with him was for a while in New Mexico, he had a side gig writing for the local newspaper, doing reviews for films. And so he took me with him a few times, and I was really young, and he took seriously my input, and he would include them in his review. So it made me feel like my version of the story, whatever, was worthy. And I think he really instilled something really important in me. And he also introduced me to my heroes, the main one being Judy Garland. Yeah. So, and she kind of just changed my life when I saw her on the screen for the first time. I'll never forget it. Obviously, Judy Garland is most known for playing Dorothy in Wizard of Oz, but that wasn't the film that got me hooked. It was Meet Me in St. Louis. I don't know if you've seen it. It's kind of an obscure film.
I don't think I'm thinking back to film school. I know it, but I don't think I've seen it all the way through.
It's a musical, and it's a coming of age story. Their family's about to leave their home. I felt really similar to all those feelings because we had just left Utah. And for the first time, I witnessed on screen someone giving themselves completely over to their art. And I saw myself in her. And to be seen is one of the most beautiful, that's the most beautiful thing about art, is that you can witness a performance and see yourself in it. And she just changed my life. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I love that he shared his love with you.
Yes.
I think that's
I'm very, very lucky.
Yeah. And so this was, you were like tunnel vision, like this is what you want to do.
Yes.
Like, yes. And so as you got a little bit older, when did the idea of relocating to Los Angeles kind of enter the conversation?
Gosh, it was definitely when I was probably around 12, like I said, when I was wanting to get an agent. I just knew that things start really young, especially for modeling, for girls and women. And so I was like, I got to get out there. Like I felt like really urgent about it, actually. Was like, we need to go back. I think because my dad is also an artist, and we wanted to give him the opportunity to explore that again. Even though, in Utah and New Mexico, he still was making independent films. He was doing documentaries. He did one in Russia and then Ghana. And so, he was still working as a filmmaker or teaching. He taught at Santa Fe University for a while, teaching film, and still teaches screenwriting to this day. So, So yeah, I forget what the question was.
No, like when did the idea of like, okay, we're going to relocate to LA and kind of make this our mission? When did that kind of enter the conversation? Around 12-ish?
Yes, around 12-ish, because I knew I'm not going to high school out here. I just knew. I was like, we gotta go, parents. So they took the dive with me, and it was not easy. It was not easy. It was financially hard. Especially for my dad, coming back to California, you don't just pick up where you left off. Like he had done some big films when he went to UCLA for screenwriting, so he was an assistant editor on films like The Color Purple, Pee-wee's Big Adventure. He has a lot of great stories, but you don't just come back and then you're right back in the scene. It's a difficult restart.
It is hard to leave and then re-enter.
Yes.
I mean, I have this conversation where it always feels like you're breaking in just at different levels.
Yes.
Whether it's your first job or your 10th job, you always have that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And so that was tough coming back because you're trying to find your own way.
Yes.
The family's trying to find their own way just to make a living and kind of put down your roots here.
Yeah.
And so, but slowly but surely you start to do that.
Yeah. So in high school, like I said, I signed with my first agent. I started going on castings. I would leave high school almost daily to go start auditioning. And then when we had to actually live with extended family too during that time because we just couldn't afford it. My mom had to move back. She was, doing a lot of the labor as far as supporting us from afar. It was not easy, like I said. So, and then by my senior year, my dad and I were living in a 1-bedroom apartment. He was living in the living room. And I'm so grateful to them for sticking it through with me because my career would not have been what it is today. I would not have made and done all the things that I did. And so when I was 18, that's when my modeling agent, so typically when you sign with a modeling agent, they send you abroad to a smaller market to build your book, get some magazine tears. And my first country was Hong Kong. I was 18. And I was out there, living out there. And it was before Google Maps. It was before any of that. So I was literally navigating as like a child, like figuring out how to get to where I was going through typhoons. Like numerous times there were typhoons. And, but that time also was so great because it instilled in me self-reliance and independence for the first real time in my life, and how to support myself. And I think through all of those hard times that we went through, coming back to Los Angeles really instilled in me, the importance of self-reliance and depending upon myself. And I, started booking. I started getting jobs. I paid for my first car. And became really independent in a lot of ways. Yeah.
It seems like just hearing your thought process, did you feel that pressure? Did you put a lot of pressure on yourself to work at an early age? Because you said you felt this sense of urgency, like I got to start now.
Yeah, it wasn't so much work. It was more like time's ticking. I felt that.
Where did that come from?
Isn't that sad?
Right?
Because now I'm like, time's ticking. But I don't know. I think everything about LA was calling me back. I just knew this is where I could do what I want to do. And I still feel that way to this day. I don't feel calling anywhere else. I think maybe my husband does sometimes, but I'm like, this is it, man.
Yeah, it's like that creative restlessness where you just want to do it now.
Yes.
Do it now. Why are we waiting?
Yes.
Let's just do it.
Exactly.
And so I didn't know that. So when you have a modeling agent, they send you overseas to build up your resume.
Yes.
Why is that? It's an interesting. I didn't know that.
It's probably easier to work in a smaller market and get magazine tears.
Was the magazine tear like a spread in a magazine?
Yes, the physical thing.
Right.
Yes.
The tear, is that what it is called?
They call them tears.
Tears.
So it's like a magazine tear, editorial kind of thing. And to show, I don't know exactly what the theory is. I know it is to build your portfolio. That's very, very important. But I think it also just gives you experience going to castings for the first time in a real way and being challenged in a real way, and also just building your confidence. I think that's what the traveling mostly did for me, was like, whoa, if I can get to 5 castings in a day without freaking Google Maps, then I can handle this. I can handle myself and show up and be confident in that way.
Yeah, and that's fascinating because you're dealing with being in a foreign country and trying to book and work. And I mean, that's hard enough just to do in Los Angeles, let alone being in a foreign country. But that there's a lot of, I imagine, personal growth that comes with that. As you mentioned, just learning to trust yourself, relying on yourself.
Yes, absolutely. And you just get these such great life experiences. Like when I was living in Bangkok for a few months, I was in the princess's fashion show. Like what? Like it's just, there's so many great stories and great things that have made me who I am today from those trips that I did in other countries, and also just opened my eyes to different people, different ways of life. I feel so grateful for all of those moments that I was able to spend there. Yeah.
I just drawing a bit of a parallel to your childhood of relocating a lot too.
Right.
And it seems like you had some experience of just like going to somewhere new.
Right.
Figuring it out.
Yes. That was not easy for me.
No, I imagine
it was not. I was, by the time I was in high school, even though I was a wild child, by the time I got in high school's a weird place. And I was just so shy, and I wanted something so badly. And I was also terrified of it at the same time because I wanted it so badly. And there's a great quote about, if your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough. Ooh. And yes. And my dreams definitely scared me. I went to a music magnet high school, and I had to audition to get in, and it was through singing. So I was in the choir there. I did get in, thank goodness. But they have a big musical theater program there. And I auditioned once, and I thought I did good, and I didn't get in, and it just crushed me. It crushed me. I had to take a break for a while, but now those no's come a whole lot easier now.
Right. Well, I was wondering, when you were putting together your modeling portfolio, did you have an idea of how you wanted to grow? Did you know acting was your ultimate end game, or was it just how much did you look ahead?
I think just because modeling on its own kind of took off, it wasn't like I'm going to do I never had like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and then this. But I think just any way that I could express myself creatively. And it wasn't until actually I started going out commercially, I didn't really know anything about it. And my first few bookings, being on set and being with a band of people making something is, I'm sure you know, one of the most amazing feelings you can get. And that's what that experience of being on set commercially did for me. And that's when I started taking acting really seriously and started going to class.
Huh. So it was modeling that led to commercials?
Yes.
Okay. And is that kind of a natural progression?
I don't think so. I think I just happened to... I don't know. I actually don't know if that's the natural progression, but it was for me.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy that it was, because I think I also reached a point with modeling where I wanted something more challenging that spoke to my soul a little bit more, and like I said, was scary. And I like scary. I like being challenged. I like, putting myself out there, even though it's terrifying. Yeah. It's one of the scariest things you can do being an actor, I think.
Yes.
Or performing or anything like that.
And and just going back to this idea of you around 18 in Hong Kong or in these other countries, it's a young time to be learning rejection too, because you're booking things, but you're also not booking things, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I can't even count the number of no's that I got, but the yeses make it worth it.
Right. And did you have like a kind of a group of other models, other girls that you could kind of have some camaraderie with?
Yes.
That were out there?
My first roommate, shout out Alana. I was actually just talking about her the other day because she was such an incredible human being. And I'm so lucky she was my first roommate. So you're typically staying at the models' apartments, and you don't know who you're going to get paired with, or where you're going to be staying. It's kind of up to the agency there. And I was just so lucky to have her. She was just so kind-hearted, and I think I got lucky.
And did you find that after a certain point of doing this, that it started to feel a little less scary, and that you were kind of looking for like around that time that you were thinking of like, maybe I can push myself into commercials a little bit? Yeah,
I think after a certain amount of time, you stop taking it personally, because it's really not about you. Like, it's about the production. It's what they're looking for. It's this puzzle they're trying to put together, even with acting. Like, and I'm still working on it to this day. It's still not an easy thing for me, but just having kind of like a wider view of the process of it, I think is helpful to keep in mind.
And what point did commercials come into play where you're like, okay, this is where I want to focus on now?
Yeah. One of the bigger jobs I ever got was an Old Navy commercial. I want to say that's when I got my SAG card, but I'm not sure. And it was with Amy Poehler, and she was doing Parks and Rec at the time. So I was like, what? I'm number 2 on the call sheet with Amy Poehler. Like, oh, she's just a goddess. And the whole commercial is just her and I riffing with each other. So I didn't know what I was doing. I don't know that I had even taken an acting class at that point, but I'll never forget, she came up to me and instantly disarmed me. Instantly. And it just changed the whole tone of the entire shoot. I was able to perform and do my job, and it was a blast. I had so much fun, and I would like to say, because of her.
Wow. Okay. So you're back in Los Angeles at this point, and you decide to stay here and keep you're going after commercial work, trying to broaden yourself as a performer. Yes. Okay. What does that look like at the time?
Yeah. So in 2012, I would say that's when I started taking classes with some of the best teachers in LA. That's the other great thing about being in LA, is you have access to such great teachers. And I studied at Anthony Meindl for 10 years, AMAW. I was in his master class, and we had such a great, I just felt so safe there. It's technically a cold read scene study, but to me it felt like improv, because you're laying it all out. And that's what he's so great at, is really pushing you to not have a plan when you're performing. I think that's why he stresses the cold read so much, is because as actors, in our insecurity, we want to plan things out. We want to have an idea of what it's going to be. But the great thing about acting is you never know what it's going to be. And to be open to that. And so I really learned a lot during that time. And it was also in 2012 when my manager actually here's a plug, found me on backstage.com. and even at that point, I did not feel ready. I was like, I don't know if I'm good at this yet. But I took the meeting anyway, and I'm so glad I did. I'm still with her to this day. I love you, Leah. And then from there, she started getting my first network credits, getting me out on some real auditions for some really big projects. Got the first audition I actually went on, I booked. So I was like, okay, cool. It's this easy.
Yeah, right.
But it's not. And then, I got my first network credit with Ray Donovan. I did a scene with Liev Schreiber. And amazing. So, and then slowly building your reel, building your resume, getting some experience. And,
Were there things about modeling that you had to kind of unlearn when you were taking acting classes, or things that helped you?
Yes. One of the first films I did as a model, you're sort of showing up as a clean slate. That's your job. You are there to perform whatever it is that they envision. With acting, there is more collaboration. So I've had to take more ownership in my part in that, and recognizing that that's also the beauty of doing film and TV, is that it is a collaboration. So that was a big change for me, was recognizing that my voice is important, and what I have to say within this role or whatever is important.
Mm-hmm. And what are you getting from acting that you feel like you weren't getting from modeling? Like, does it still scare you?
Acting, yes, of course, of course. What didn't I get? Acting is humanity. It's bigger. Even though I don't want to diss on modeling at all, because it is an art in and of itself.
Sure.
And I do still have modeling jobs where I feel like it's art. Some days I don't. It just depends on the job. But with acting, I would hope, and at least in my experience, it has been mostly about the art and trying to get at a deeper understanding of humanity. I believe, film and TV is a mirror of ourselves and a mirror of society. And that really, I'm really drawn to that part of it.
Is that something that you learned in those acting classes?
Yes.
Like that, and that collaboration part of it. And that you mentioned that feels like it's improv, but it's not improv. And so how do you go about preparing for, like you mentioned, the scene that you did with Liev Schreiber? How did you go about preparing for that role?
Gosh, I think I was still so young that I didn't really have a grasp on what I was doing quite yet. But how I prepare for a role now is much more in depth. I take it slow. My teacher now says, go slow to go fast. I think when you have these quick turnarounds with auditions, you have like a 48-hour turnaround, or even less than that sometimes. And the urge is to go, okay, let me memorize my lines. and in my opinion, you're sort of losing the point a little bit when you're doing that. And you want to find the story first. You want to live with it in your body. You want to explore it like a kid, play with it. See how it feels, experiment with it, and just explore. And then the lines, ironically enough, come so much easier, because now you've sort of spent some time in this life. And it sounds really crazy, but that is kind of how I approach work now.
Well, that's really interesting. So you think memorizing the lines kind of gets in the way of that? Like that you're losing the point, you said.
Yes, and because you also want it to be fresh. You don't want to get stuck in a certain way or have this one way of doing it, because what's really exciting is the most unexpected way can almost be a surprise. I love feeling surprised by a scene that I'm in, of like, whoa, I didn't know it could be that. And to be open to that instead of just, I've worked with actors that have this exact way, and I've been guilty of it myself. It's this exact way. We got to hit this beat at this time and blah, blah, blah. And I think what's really exciting is living in the unknown a little bit and fully giving yourself over to the moment. Get out of the idea of the thing, get out of the aiming, and allow it to just be what it wants to be.
As you're describing this, I'm thinking of like moving to a new place throughout your life, and there's a certain amount of surrender to the unknown. Just like what you're talking about in acting, you're walking into a scene.
Yes.
You can't control the scene. You can only control your part of it. And there's a certain amount of surrender that you seem to be maybe increasingly comfortable with being uncomfortable, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Because you've kind of experienced that in your life.
Totally. And you hear a lot of actors say, actually, if you're feeling uncomfortable about something, that's kind of the signal that you need to do it. Like if you're really scared of something, that's when the actor, you hear it all the time of like, oh, okay, there's something there for me.
I like that, as opposed to feeling too relaxed or too a certain way. It should scare you a little bit, kind of keep you on your toes.
Yes.
So when your, is it manager or agent?
Manager.
Manager reached out to you, and you felt like it was almost too soon. Did you discuss like an overall vision for what the next few years would look like? It's like, okay, you should take these classes, you should do this, like just kind of lay out like a, kind of a 5-year plan together.
Yeah, I think, the importance of being in class was really big for me. I did groundlings for a while too. I try to be in class pretty consistently.
I hear a lot of actors do that. And that's like, as writers, I don't often hear of something similar like that. Writers are always in class. Like that's not the case.
Right.
Maybe they should be, but it's just always interesting how actors always seem to be honing their craft or tweaking their craft in different kinds of classes. Like the groundlings are different than.
Yes, totally. And it's more than that too. It's also a community and a support system, because acting is a really weird profession. There is no clear line. There is no linear path with acting, even with writing, as I'm sure you know. So you kind of need like-minded people to understand kind of what it is that you're doing. And so it's really nice to have that. Yeah.
So it's that support group that's just as important as just working on your
but
skill.
Also feeling inspired by my peers' work. I love being inspired by someone's work makes me want to be a better actor, wants me to find those things within myself. So it's a bunch of things. It's not just one thing. You know?
Of course. And so you book the first thing that you audition for, you said. And then sometimes it's funny, we talk about like, everyone always wants to get that first job, but oftentimes it's like the second or third job, whether you're an actor or a writer, that is the hardest one. And so in your case, after that, you're going back out on auditions, right? Now you're experiencing some amount of rejection, I imagine.
Totally.
What are you telling yourself when that happens? How do you deal with the word no?
Back then, it was much harder because I took everything personally. We're sensitive souls as actors, so rejection's never easy. But like I said, I take it less personally now. And I love this saying that they use in basketball of have a short memory. Because if you get stuck in the mistakes that you've made or whatever, then you're going to miss the next play. So you just have to keep focusing on the next play and not let it bog you down, because what good is that doing for you or anyone else? So that's kind of, and some auditions hurt more than others. Like if I loved a role, that would be hard to let go of, especially if I've given it my all. But also, there's also a freedom in giving it my all and releasing it. And it feels really satisfying to be able to know that I did my best on this, and it's none of my business anymore. You hand it over, and it's in the universe now. And I can feel good about that as long as I've put in my work and I feel good about my work.
Yeah. And is it mostly now, is it Zoom auditions or is it in-person auditions?
Commercially, they do in-person sometimes here and there. But gosh, I haven't had a theatrical audition in person in a very long time. So it is all self-tapes for the most part.
Self-tapes.
Which is easier for them. They're saving money. It's more flexible for everyone. They can see a larger pool of actors, which is great. And also awful for some people. So, but for me, I love it. I love the flexibility. I love that I can shoot it at midnight if I need to, you know what I mean? Depending on my day. So, and if I feel like I haven't gotten it, I can give it another go.
And so just to get into the nuts and bolts a little bit, like when you are about to self-tape, typically what is your process? You're getting sides and what you get this, and then it's like, what do you do next?
Yeah, so I get the sides, read it instantly because you want it to start churning in your mind. You want to get it in your psyche as quick as possible, and start having ideas about it, exploring it. Let it take you where, get the circumstances, get the environment, get all those things that are that can affect you as an actor in this particular paradigm, and these circumstances. So I really try to get out of my head and get it in my body because the body is very intuitive and knows things that sometimes my head does not know.
That's funny. It's funny. As a writer, it's the same thing. I like to say, get it out of your head and onto the page.
Yes.
But if you're an actor, get it out of your head and into your body.
Yes, totally. Walk around with it.
How funny. But it's the same kind of thing.
Yes.
And something that you mentioned that read it instantly so it starts to churn.
Yes.
It's really funny because it's the same is true for writing. If I feel like I call it like loading your subconscious, but there's like whether it's notes or it's like you're struggling to write some scene, it's like just write the bad version first, just get it out, get it on paper, and
exactly.
and just so it's like you could be doing whatever, working out or going for a walk, and it's in the back of your mind and it's just there, and that is something that's not nothing.
Oh, absolutely. There's a reason why when we're in the shower, that's some of our best work. Right. Because there's no distractions and you literally explore. You're just thinking about things in your life and some of the best work comes at that time.
That's fascinating. Because there's not a lot of people I've heard put it that way, but when you said it like that, I'm like, same is true for me.
Yeah.
That's very true. You just have to get it going and then you can kind of, it kind of fills in the gaps while you're not thinking about it.
Yes, because then it's sort of there all the time. Like a thing will come up in your life and you're like, oh, like somehow that can inspire what I'm doing over here. Just keeping my eyes open to everything and allowing things to inspire me. Yeah.
And then as you start to go out more and you start to book things, is there a project in particular that you feel like you kind of, okay, this like, I came away like I upped my game with this one?
Yes, I booked my first Top of Show guest star in 2022. And that was 10 years after I started auditioning. So that's a long time. And I know that jump from co-star to guest star can be tricky. Like I said, there is no linear path. It's not, oh, easy one day co-star and then, oh, next I'm guest star. Then I'm a series regular. No, even for the biggest actors in the world, it's like this.
Oh,
it's never, you're never like this.
No. And for those who don't know, can you say the difference between co-star and guest star?
So there is a pay difference. Co-star is a smaller, it can be a one-liner. Or I've had co-stars that probably should have been guest stars, frankly, because they were pages worth, numerous scenes, but they were probably looking at their budget, and which was whatever, fine by me. And so yes, guest star is more of a important role, more of a major role within that particular episode.
And it's a pay difference too. That's significant.
Yes.
And then so you said that you booked yours in 2022, your first guest star.
Yes.
What was that like?
Oh my God.
What was that project?
Oh my God. It was 911 Lone Star. Oddly enough, I was acting with Rob Lowe again, who I had acted with previously in a little show called The Grinder, which is hilarious. Everyone should go watch it. No one saw it, but it was brilliant. And he's hilarious in it. And my scene was with Rob Lowe and Jason Alexander. And Jason Alexander is an absolute god and the kindest person on the planet. Again, easing and disarming me and allowing me to give my best performance. Not that he's obligated to do so, but he did. And it definitely helped. But yeah, so it was funny to be on set with Rob Lowe again all these years later, and he's saving the day as Rob Lowe does. And I play a woman who's in a domestically violent relationship, and I'm leaving. And there was a lot of stunts involved. The car, my kids are in the car, and I leave it in neutral. So it's very dramatic. And I get out, and then the car's just rolling down the hill. I have to get behind the car to stop the car. And this is actually, there's true stories about this, about a woman who used her body as a speed bump to stop her car. Oh. And, like they talk about adrenaline and how adrenaline has these powers that, it's amazing. So that really moved me, hearing that, whoa, this has actually happened to someone. But it was a great experience. Chad Lowe directed, which is Rob Lowe's brother. He was a lovely human being. Actually, everyone on set was incredible. Gina Torres, who is an incredible actress.
Great, yeah.
It was just such a dream come true. And it felt like I was almost grateful for those 10 years that it took, because it felt so much more rewarding, of like, wow, I've really stuck with this a long time, and here I am, and I can do it. And someone said to me this quote, which I'm gonna butcher it right now, but it was like, you're not ready to get to the top of Mount Everest overnight. You have to build your system up. Like, you physically cannot get there. Even your lungs can't handle it. So I try to keep that in the back of my mind as encouragement.
Right. Well, that sounds incredible. And what about that caused you to feel like you walked away?
Yeah.
Where you upped your game on that one?
I felt like, it's sort of like an exterior validation a little bit, and external validation, which I try not to get too hung up on, but of course it's do important as actors.
Yeah,
but
right.
Just the credit, just the showing that I have that on my resume is a big deal in the acting world, because it shows, oh, you can be a power player within an episode. And hopefully you go on to be a series regular, a recurring character, which I was recurring on Shameless for a few episodes. I did 3 episodes of Super Pumped with Joseph Gordon-Levitt. So, those are all just like valuable things to have on your resume to show to people that you can be on set and be a professional.
Mm-hmm. And during those 10 years between, was it your first co-star and then your first guest star, were there times where you thought, I don't know, this is getting it's a little tough?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you just keep going, and you have to just be in the moment. You have to be whatever is there's always something coming. So just stay in the work, because that's why we're all doing it, is because of the work and because we love it. So let's just focus on the joy of that, and I think that should hopefully spread out into
Yeah. Well, it's funny, from my own career, it was 10 years until I got a first paycheck.
Hey.
First writing paycheck. It was 10 years.
Okay.
And then it was like 2 years before the next one. And then a month for the third one. And then a month for,
Yes.
It's a slow build.
Yes.
And then there's some momentum, hopefully, but it's always up and down.
Absolutely.
And so when you described, okay, then you record on Shameless, and then it's like, so there was less time in between these more significant bookings, right? So you started to, yeah. And did your process change at that time?
Yes, I would say I started going to a different studio in 2019, and even throughout the pandemic, I'm so grateful to Stuart Rogers. I'll give a plug there. He's amazing, and gets really so I talked to him about it, but it's like an internal way of finding it versus relying on the teacher to find it for you, kind of thing. And I had become so reliant on someone to give me something, and then I would show up on set and I would be kind of empty-handed, and I want to show up on set and have very full hands of very numerous threads, numerous paths I can go down and offer to whatever project it is that we're working on. So I would say my process has become deeper, more alive, and like I said, more physical, which is very helpful. But I'm still working on it. It never ends.
Of course.
There's always more you can do, but that's kind of what gives me the high. That's why I love what I do, is because of that.
I really like that. And so just to say it back, because I'm like, that's quite deep. You used to rely on someone, whether it was an acting teacher or someone opposite you in a scene, to give you something to go off of.
Yes.
But you had to learn to draw that out of yourself.
Yes. Because you can show up on set and people can give you nothing.
And what does that look like or feel like for someone to give you nothing? Yeah. What does that actually look like on screen? Like, it's
tricky, because I know that directors know that they shouldn't give an actor too much, because they want it to be a collaborative process. They want to see what you have to bring, what you've worked on. So in a way, it is respectful to allow the actor to show up with what they've got. But there have just been moments along the way where I'm like, oh, I could really use something from my director. Like, give me a little nugget of goodness that I can draw off of.
And is it because in those moments something's not feeling authentic or true? Or it doesn't quite...
Just not hitting in the way that you want it to. But again, that's... I have to always go back to myself, too, because I am an equal collaborator in this. And also if something's not hitting, maybe that's what the scene is. So allowing that in too, you don't know what this wants to be. So if that's what's coming up, then you have to honor what's coming up.
Are there pieces of direction that you've received that still stay with you?
Yes. The biggest one, like I said, is get out of your head into your body, and also forget the idea. Just live in the moment. Just be in the moment and hand yourself over. Do the work. Do all the work you need to do, all the prep you need to do, but then show up and then on set and allow it to be what it's going to be, knowing that you've done all this work. You're good, trusting your instrument. I still struggle with trusting my instrument, and yeah, it's a lifelong process.
I'm just curious, like when Mother Nature and the Doomsday Prepper came, what was that? Where was that in this timeline when that first kind of came onto your radar?
So that was, I believe, it may have been the end of 2023 when I first sent in a tape, and then I think I got the callback, I believe, in 2024. And it was just an online Zoom callback with our director, Christian Cashmere, and Laurie Krigo. I think Cameron Brumbelow, our producer, may have also been on that call, but I'm forgetting. But it's amazing how much people love to hate on Zoom, and I don't blame them. But I will say, during the pandemic, when I continued taking acting classes over Zoom, it was amazing to me how much you can get through a screen or a piece of tape on the wall, which is what actors do to have an eye line for auditions. You're with your reader and then you have a piece of tape over here, but you can give a lot of value to this piece of tape on the wall to not underestimate that you can get a good performance online. I know you're missing the in-person, magic, but there's a lot of magic to be had online as well.
Ultimately, your work will still be seen on a screen at the end of the day.
Right.
Which is kind of an interesting, like...
I've actually never thought of that.
You know, like, but you do want that in person where possible.
Right, right.
So, okay, so this is just a normal audition that kind of came onto your radar, and you just thought, okay, I'm going to do this. And and was that always for the role of Mother Nature?
Yes.
Okay. Which I saw the movie, and it's very funny, by the way. Like, you're fantastic in it.
It was a good shot. It was a good time.
It was, yeah. And so take me through that process of you submit the self-tape, and then you get the callback.
Yeah.
And then what happens next?
So I do the callback. I think it was really quick, actually. I think a week later, I found out that I had booked it. And then I could be wrong, but I feel like we started shooting quickly thereafter. But I found out that Andrew, of course, was the other lead. And as he said in his interview, we did hang out, which is important for, to build that trust, build those relationships so that you don't show up and you've got nothing with each other on set. It's just easier.
Yeah.
So I'm really glad he actually initiated that first coffee hang. So I'm very grateful for that because it did help build our relationship.
Yeah, that kind of goes back to the disarming a little bit that you talked about, where you just have a little bit of camaraderie where you're like, okay, we can get the introductions out of the way, and then just there's a level of comfort and kind of the makings of trust. Hopefully.
Absolutely, yes.
And was there a level of just intimidation? A little bit of like, ooh, okay.
Totally. The first day we had a lot to shoot, and it was heavy on my scenes. So it was a lot of dialogue, and also that first day, I sort of wanted to prove that we got this, we can handle this, we can go through the next 3.5 weeks together and everyone's fine. Like the cast and crew, because the crew doesn't know me. They don't know, who is this girl? So I just wanted to sort of show or come very prepared. I didn't want anything to drag. I wanted to be so prepared that I would never, ever be the reason for why anything is stalling. And so there was a lot of intimidation that day because you're basically on a stage. We were on I don't know what the exact technical word is for it, but a digital stage, I guess. And so you do kind of feel like you're in a play because everyone's watching. and it was just me and Eric Freeman up there, who I adore. He plays Alexandros, and we had such a fabulous time together. But yeah, so it does sort of feel like, oh, everyone's watching me, whatever. But then you get over that very quickly.
Right. And you just had to bring it that day.
Yeah.
Yeah. And obviously you did. Yeah. Right. And for those who don't know, can you just sum up the film briefly?
Yes. So I play Demi Papadopoulos, and I am a descendant of goddess Demeter, and I have been Mother Nature for hundreds of years. I have been a little distracted in my greenhouse, and Zeus is upset because obviously the earth has fallen apart, and he finds out about it, so he's going to fire me. And I get one last chance to prove myself by going down and having to convince a doomsday prepper that there is hope for the world. And it's a really great, unlikely pairing and ultimate romance between the two of us. And yeah, it's just a really delightful, fun way to tackle a subject that is tricky and very emotional for a lot of people. And I feel like it does a good job of, respecting,
Yes.
The
subject matter.
Yes.
Well, and it's just a very fun, like, opposites attract. It's high concept,
totally.
But just as a rom-com, it's like, oh, this is a great pairing. Like,
yes.
it's classic at the same time. And
totally.
So, yeah. And did you have a learning curve on that film? Just because you mentioned that level, that
yes.
comedy was kind of new for you.
Mm-hmm. I think there were a few times looking back where I could have gone over the script a few more times. I am pretty good about reacquainting myself as much as I can with the script because I want to keep it fresh, like I said. And I think there were a few times where I could have looked at the script again. And I was very familiar with the script at that point. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying more like, what's coming up for me that I can put more of into this role. And, there were a lot of moments where scenes would change last minute. And we would have to go over it, because we were shooting so much in such a short amount of time. And also, Mickey Rourke was supposed to be the original Zeus, so that was kind of a hiccup within shooting. And there was a point where we're like, are we going to continue shooting the film? And, there was an option of maybe we come back. And I'm so glad we chose to cast Brock O'Hearn because we could continue. We had our momentum going.
Yes.
And so, yeah, you just never know what's going to come up.
Yeah.
And you just have to be flexible.
Yeah. And I'm just curious, in terms of process like that, do you mark up the script? Like, do you go through it? Do you like, what is it? And just something that we hear as writers, like, they tell us not to write, for example, parentheticals in dialogue. Like, don't tell an actor how to feel or how they should.
Right.
But do you have like pet peeves like that? I know there's two different questions.
I know there's two ways of thinking about it. I know some people who refuse to highlight, like even that's like a thing for some people. I'm a little more fluid about it. I think, whatever works. If I have little notes for myself or whatever, I'm okay with it. I'm not going to be attached to my notes. I think that's where you get into trouble is you get attached into a certain way of like, oh, this is how I'm going to think about this right here at this exact time. That's where you get into trouble, at least for me. So I definitely scribbled on it. I have my little tabs of like my color coordinated tabs of like, I don't even remember what the colors represented, but it's fun to look at. It feels like an art piece in and of itself because I have like colors and things here and there. So yeah.
As you are reading a script, it could be that one or another script, and you're thinking about what you can bring to it. I'm trying to like understand the balance of like adhering to what's on the page, but also bringing in your own ideas and trying them out in person. I mean, I know that's a tricky dance, but is that what you're talking about when you're saying be flexible, but also come in with hands full?
As far as writing, the writing is the holy grail. I don't want to mess with the writing, even though we did have to adjust certain scenes based on whatever was happening. But I follow that. And if something doesn't feel right, that is actually where I tend to find the gold. It's actually a great indicator for me now in my work is because I've had these like big epiphanies where like, ooh, I hate that line. And I keep going over it. And then finally it'll click. And I'm like, oh, and it illuminates so much more about the scene in the world or whatever. It could be my hook into this character. So don't be so quick to put things in a box is kind of what I'm arguing for.
Of course, anyone who's been on set knows there's that level of like, controlled chaos where something doesn't go as planned. And so you got to rewrite on the spot.
Yes.
And so that's where that improv kind of comes in handy.
Yes.
Right. Where you're like, ooh, okay, we got to find it right here.
Yeah. Like I think, and embracing those mistakes.
Sure.
Because I think there was like a scene where the bracelet wasn't where it needed to be. I'm forgetting the exact things that had happened, but I feel like it was a blessing in disguise because we came up with a solution and the solution was great. So being open to whatever those mistakes are, and maybe that's how it was meant to be to begin with.
Right. Because there's always a level of imperfection no matter what.
Totally.
So you just kind of have to,
Yes.
Each step, hopefully you find out a little bit more of what it ultimately wants to be.
Yes, exactly.
It doesn't end with the script, you know?
Yes.
And then, so it finishes, and then how are you feeling after that?
I felt great. We did a screening in Florida. We all came out and
where you
celebrated
shot it, right?
there.
Is it
Tampa
or?
Yes, St. Pete and
Okay.
Tampa Bay and Pinellas County. And I love St. Pete, by the way. I had no idea. It's such a great city, town. We had a few nights out there, so I love just such good vibes. But yeah, I feel really good. It feels good to have worked so hard on something and to have it be completed, because I think you must know this as a writer, of like leaving things incomplete can feel so awful, like in my writing too, of like, oh, I really need to finish this. But so feeling like, oh, it's in its own little world now, and so it feels really good.
After that, looking ahead, do you have like a dream role or a dream project where you're like, like if I can figure out how to put something like that together?
What I'm writing is my dream, which we had talked about before the podcast.
Can you speak a little bit about it?
Yeah, so it is my passion project. I've been working on it for way too long.
That's okay.
But I'm chugging away. And I would love to not only act in it, but produce it, have it be a series. And so that would really be incredible.
And you don't have to reveal too much about it, but it's a very personal story to you.
Yes.
Part of your life.
A certain part of my life, the politics of the world at that time. So it's also like a historical thing, because I'm kind of, looking at the timeline of this specific time of my life and what was going on in the world outside of my own personal experience of it. So it's been really fun, and I feel really addicted to it. I'm sure you've experienced this, where I love it. I just love doing it.
Well,
so,
when something calls you. And especially if it's a passion project.
That's how I feel.
And no one is asking you to do it, but you're like, I feel like I have to do it. Not because I think it's going to make a ton of money. Of course, that would be nice, but I just feel like I have to get it out of me.
Yes.
And that's what you're kind of talking about.
And do it justice.
Yes.
Do this story that I'm trying to tell justice, because that's what will feel good above all else.
Can you talk about how you've been approaching that? Like, were you taking classes?
I am taking classes.
Yeah.
And those are the notes that I get there are extensive, and but also extremely helpful, and to just have that structure to show up every week and have work done, but also contribute to other people's work. It's just working a different part of my brain. And also my parents are both writers, so that helps
absolutely
a lot. My mom is on the scholarly side, but my dad is on the screenwriting side, as I said. So that helps.
Yes. And it's funny. I think sometimes advice can feel like a fire hose, where sometimes, it comes at you from all different directions.
Yes.
So there's a certain level of like, I want to keep it in for a little bit.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
And I do feel like I'm like keeping this little bubble, which eventually I won't. I will start, showing it.
Yeah.
But I'm not there yet.
Right. No, and that's important, right?
Yeah.
And has it changed the way that you look at being an actor?
Yes.
As you're writing? Like now you're going both ways here.
Well, I think they often say as actors, you should be dipping your toes into different parts of this business. I have a friend who worked behind the camera for many years. And so to understand how the camera works and how you can use the camera in the best possible way, there's plenty of things that we can learn in this business to help better our specific craft within them. So I think writing in particular has probably given me more of a bird's eye view when it comes to the business too, because now I understand, like, it's not about me. It's about this world and about who works where And, you know, I think as an actor, they could not pick you because maybe you look like the lead. Like, there are plenty of silly reasons for why you're not picked. It's also not a meritocracy. So there's plenty of things at play.
Well, yeah. When Andrew was here, he mentioned
nepotism.
Nepotism, right. And also he mentioned he didn't get a job once because he looked like the ex-husband of the casting director.
Yes,
so
yes.
Like, how are you supposed to control that? Like, that's crazy.
And the goal isn't to be liked by everyone. That's not a good goal. So, like, it's okay. You know, it's okay.
But you have to learn that because it certainly seems to be, especially in the beginning, you do want to at least, you know,
totally.
I want to be liked by everyone and just please everyone.
Yes.
And then over time, you kind of develop those boundaries, hopefully. But that is, there was something recently where I walked away from trying out for this project, and I had already taken some meetings, and I knew I didn't want it. Like the end result was, I get this offer, and I knew I didn't want that, and I thought, am I just trying to collect people that like me here?
Totally.
Like, what am I doing?
And that's such a good, valuable realization to really connect with that consistently. That's a really great thing.
Consistently is the key word there.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. Well, this is something I ask every guest.
Yeah.
It's called The Rule I Break.
Okay.
Every industry has rules. Some are there for a reason, and some are just begging to be broken. So what's a rule in your field that you don't follow or believe in?
I think right now there's a lot of despair in our industry because we've gone through some really rough years. COVID, you know, the writer's strike, and AI. There's a lot of scary things that could potentially come of this industry, and I've seen it and I've witnessed it with voiceover work, for example, like AI, you know, taking over in that area. Yes.
I guess I have heard of some celebrity voices being generated, but that's a real concern.
Yes. But my rule is to not give into that. I really believe now more than ever, which I used to take this for granted a lot, but now more than ever, I believe life is art is life-saving. And I think we need art now more than ever. So AI can't do ever what a human does. So I think we need that, whether it be a concert or a show or a theater or a poem or whatever, to reflect our experiences back to us is needed now more than ever. And it makes me feel alive. And so I need art. AI doesn't do it for me. So I would say not giving into despair.
I love that. Not to give into despair. Art is life-saving.
I think art is life-saving.
Yeah. I think that's very well said. It's kind of like internalizing that. Yeah.
Yeah,
because
really
I think something.
And to not minimize, you know, it can be a silly movie or a silly show or whatever that you can, whatever, that's stupid. But like, man, laughter and joy are so important. They're so important. And to not minimize the importance of those things, especially now when things are tough in the world. I think for some people, and especially during COVID, people were really lonely. And I think art, TV, film gave them connection and community even through a screen. So to not minimize the power of that.
And at what point in your life did you come upon that nugget of wisdom about art as life-saving?
With Judy Garland.
With Judy Garland.
With Judy Garland. It was validating to see someone having deep, uncomfortable feelings like me, and to feel seen, and that I'm not a crazy person, that we all, you know, it's the human condition. We're all going through stuff all the time, and to sort of normalize that a little bit more.
Wow. And throughout this process, this journey that you've been on, what have you learned about yourself?
To believe in myself, to not take for granted what I do is important, to have ownership that I am an actor. There are days where I'm like, am I an actor? Especially when you haven't booked in a while. But to really take ownership in, I am an actor. I know what I'm doing, and I can handle anything that comes my way. Those have been some really important lessons for me.
Yeah, because everyone has to learn that at some point, hopefully, throughout their career, because there's times where you're not going to book things. I mean, there's been so many writers just on my side that haven't worked in a long time or worked full time in a long time.
Yes.
And that's for all sorts of reasons. And part of it is just the way the industry is changing.
Yes.
And a lot of those things are outside of our control.
Yes.
But the thing that we can control is going back to what you said, where you are validating yourself.
And remembering the why. What is your why for this? That's the baseline of everything. So getting in touch with your original reason for why you wanted to do it in the first place.
Yeah. And for you, that's art is life-saving.
I guess now, like I had never said it in that way before, but
it's pretty profound.
I really do believe that. I think, now more than ever, I really do believe that.
I agree with you for sure. And I think that art connects people.
Yes.
And especially in a world where AI is not going to go away and it's only going to be more of whatever it's going to become. But this idea of just staying connected with people, communal experiences.
Yes.
I mean, that's very important. And you spoke of just the magic of being on set around other people, creating something.
Yes,
that's
complete
imperfect,
strangers.
that you're trying to shape and mold and all these things around. And there's something beautiful about that and scary and all those things, but that keeps you engaged, right?
Yes.
It's still hard. It's hard for you, right?
Absolutely.
Like that feeling, but that keeps you, some people ask, when it comes to writing, like, oh, do you want to write in this age group or this age group? And it's like, as long as I feel like it's difficult, then I'm gonna stick around and do, if it starts to feel like, oh, I got this.
Yes.
Then there's something that's like,
wait
a minute, I should check. I should look into that. It's
important to challenge yourself and to continually grow.
And I feel like you've always thought that way.
I am a big advocate for growth and challenging myself.
And the way to do that is seeking the uncomfortable.
Yes. Yeah. Part of it, yes.
Yes, I think that's great. Before we go, I like to do a rapid fire round.
Okay.
So 5 questions. You can say as much or as little as you want. What's the last book you read?
I'm reading 2 right now. I'm listening to Viola Davis's autobiography, Finding Me.
Ooh.
Oh, her voice.
Oh, she reads it. Oh,
she
that's
reads
awesome.
it. Oh, she's incredible. And it's really great to learn about her. I'm also reading Dorian Gray because I just saw the play, the Broadway play in New York. And Sarah Snook's performance in that is mind-blowing.
Oh, wow. From Succession.
Yes.
Huh.
Oh, I don't know how she did that. But like I said, it was one of those performances where she gave her entire self to that role. Like physically, like the amount of costume changes happening on stage. Like she was every character. I don't know how the heck this woman did that. And she has a baby at home. So that too is like, how? So that's very inspiring. Both of those women are so inspiring.
Wow, great. What's a movie you love rewatching?
Okay. So it's an interesting, because it's not what is your favorite movie. My favorite films are actually really hard films to watch, like Network or Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. That's not what I watch over and over again.
Not
it just
light watching.
Wrecks you. But the one I used to watch over and over again, which I don't typically watch films over and over again, was it's a 1930s black and white film called Easy Living. And it's just very lighthearted. The actress is Jean Arthur. It was delightful. And it was just, I think probably I was a teenager and I was moody. And and it was like, oh, the premise is that life can change like that. And I was like, ooh, so that was really fun. The other one is Emperor's New Groove, of course.
Oh,
it's a good time.
Those are good contrasts there. If it wasn't this, what's another career field you could see yourself in?
So when I was in college, I loved anthropology. It is the holistic scientific study of humankind. And I think that, even with acting, there's a lot of similarity there of just exploring humanity. And to know that our idea of what society is doesn't necessarily mean that it's right or wrong or whatever. So it was kind of like this bird's eye view of humanity studying anthropology, and I was obsessed with it.
Worst piece of advice you've ever received?
An ex of mine said, get a real job. And I'm so glad I didn't listen, because I've done very well for myself. And which was ironic because he was also an actor. But
he was projecting.
Yes. So I'm glad I did not listen.
Yeah, great. Best piece of advice you've ever received?
I'm just going to be repeating myself now, but to be in the moment, moment to moment to moment, because you can get hung up on so much outside of things that are outside of your control, and to surrender to the moment.
Kate, this was such a pleasure.
Oh my God.
Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. This was just fascinating to get to understand how you think and how you approach your craft. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. This was great.
Kate, before you go, thank you for listening. If something in this episode moved you or even made you pause for a second, please consider following the show, leaving a review, and signing up for the weekly newsletter at storyseriespodcast.com. That's where I share my personal takeaways from each episode, what stuck with me and why, one story at a time. See you in the next one.